Are you wondering if you should work with a real estate agent if you're looking to buy a new build home? Well, in today's episode of the Real Estate Roundup podcast, we're going to be talking about what is the relationship between a real estate agent and a new home sales rep, and how a real estate agent can help you get into a new build home faster and in a better way as well. I am Kobe Zen, and I am your host of the Real Estate Roundup podcast, and I am joined here by my co-hosts Andres Martinez and Tony Flores. How are you guys doing today?
Awesome.
Awesome. Awesome. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So thanks for that. But I'm really excited to talk about today's episode because, Andres, you are a new home sales rep as of recently. And Tony, you've been a real estate agent for the past couple of years as well. So I think it'll be really good to get some different perspectives on this just to see how a real estate agent and a new home sales rep are able to work together. So before we dig into that, let's talk a little bit about kind of what you guys been up to for the past week or so. So we'll start with you on this, Andres. What have you been up to for the past week? Is there anything new to catch up on?
Just taking a couple of courses and classes with my builder, just learning how the process of building a home and stuff that could come up in a city inspection. So gaining that knowledge. Also preparing for a big event that I'm having to network with real estate agents so I could show them how I could be a benefit to them and how we could work together and grow each other's business.
That's awesome, man. So we're looking forward to that, and looking forward to the event as well. So what about you, Tony? What have you been up to in the past week or so since the last time that we've caught up? You've been up to anything exciting?
With working with a buyer and seller on one of the projects we have going on. It's possible that we're working through some financing things because the buyer didn't have there were some missing pieces, and so I'm working with him, working with the loan officer, and seeing if we can get that thing to the finish line. A couple of weeks ago, also I forgot to mention, was participated in a walk to cure MS, and that was pretty fun. Good to go out there, and one of my clients invited me to go, and this was the second year I went out, participated, so did that. And also we're doing some getting ready for some fiesta activities here in San Antonio as well. So that's our yearly event, and it's a big fundraiser for a lot of people. A lot of the schools offer scholarships for students just loving to go out there and have some drumsticks, some turkey drumsticks, and all kinds of fun stuff like funnel cakes and things like that. So having fun.
Yeah, that sounds like a great time.
Unfortunately, we wrapped up the basketball season, so we're looking forward to the what's coming around the corner. I know Andres is looking for that too as well, and how we're going to add to our wonderful team, the Spurs.
Hope we draft well, right?
Yeah, again.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys got going on. I mean, we don't have a lot of these activities happening down in Houston, but it sounds like a lot of fun. So maybe I can even make it down to a few of those events.
For sure.
But awesome. So let's dig right on into today's topic, and that is, the relationship between a real estate agent and a new home sales representative. So I think it'll be important for just the listeners and our viewers out there to have a good understanding of should they work with a real estate agent if they're looking to get into a new build home. So I think it will be good to start with you, Andres, on this one because you've just recently taken a role with a new home builder, and you are a new home sales rep. So from the perspective of a new home sales rep, would you actually prefer working with a real estate agent if a buyer came to you, alone, or if they came to you with an agent that represents them?
So as far as from my point of view, I actually enjoy working with a real estate agent. And the reason being is we are an extended resource, right? So we work together in unison. It's not like one person is trying to get the upper hand on the other, right? So the sales agent works with the real estate agent. They don't work against each other. They work together to try to make sure that the client is taken care of and that all questions are answered. Sometimes a client might feel a little bit more comfortable asking their real estate agent a question just because they have a relationship, they've been working together, and they will ask the real estate agent a question, and then the real estate agent will communicate it to the sales rep. Will give them the information. And then once that information, the real estate agent can go ahead and relay it over to their client. Or sometimes we could just answer that information or give them the resources to access that information.
Right. Yeah. So it's good because the agent in this scenario will be helping the client essentially navigate that transaction. As we all know, if this is, maybe the first or even the second time buying a home, it can be difficult, right? And if you're not an expert in the subject, you're going to need as much help as you can get with that transaction. So the same question to you, Tony, you being an agent, right, who's represented a lot of buyers in the past and continue to do so. What would you say are some of the benefits for a buyer to work with an agent if they were to try to get into a new home?
I love working with clients that are looking for new homes, new construction in particular, as well as existing. But when we're talking about going and visiting builders, there's some things that we as real estate agents, we're looking. Of course, we're always looking for the client's best interest, but some of the things that they might tell us if we're looking at you going from one builder to a different builder, we essentially can accompany them on those visits, because the benefit to our client is that they are having kind of a sounding board, and they're kind of giving the feedback back to the agent, and the agent now can get that information, and then it can say, okay, yeah, what they told me was they like certain types of features, whether it be sometimes it's they love having being close to schools, but also they might have features that they're looking for, like they like garden tubs, or they want to stay away from certain types of features. So it helps that we help guide them to say, hey, you know what, I know that this builder is doing a great job, and they have so many different strengths, but one of the things that you told me about was you like this feature, and I know there are some houses with those features, might maybe in a community right close to us. So different things like that. And also we work with really strongly with the sales reps in those communities, so we can say, hey, we can talk to them and say, really help me find this for my client, because we are really they're really looking for something more like this. And it's just it really benefits, because they're trying to everyone's trying to help the client get their end result, which is the house that they're super happy with. And working with an agent is definitely benefits the client, because it's one person, and kind of like the hub of resources and information. We talk to different builders, and more than likely we have a really good idea where to kind of pare down the searches for them. So a lot of times they're really busy. Our clients are busy. They have a lot of things they're juggling, home, work, and other activities, and they're trying to find a new home. So we help save them time, and in a lot of cases, we help save them money as well, and find the features that they're looking for.
Yeah, so absolutely. So as a buyer, right, who's looking to get into a new build home, it makes a lot of sense to have an expert kind of on your side in order to help you navigate, maybe going to different builders, looking at different homes within certain communities, just to make sure that you're having the most amount of options as a real estate buyer in that scenario if we're looking to get into a new home. So I think a lot of people out there, they're going to be wondering, what exactly does a real estate agent and a new home sales rep do as far as them being able to work together to help a potential client or a buyer get into the home without, any issues or problems, and actually close that transaction and help them get into the home they're looking for. So we'll start with you on this one, Tony, is, from your perspective as an agent, what is it that you do from the agent's point of view when you work with new home sales reps and other builders? What do you do? What do you do for the client, but also how do you work together with the new home sales rep to make sure that the buyers are able to find the best deals, but also close that transaction out and actually get into the home that they're looking for?
Yeah, I love staying in contact with the new home sales reps, because I've got a lot of contacts, and I like to communicate with some of the ones that really provide a lot of the information that my clients are already looking for. So they'll have different floor plans, they'll have different zip codes, and I know Andres does a super, super good job of this as well. He is very proactive. He's sending out information. They'll update us, and they'll get us the information that we're looking for. And it's they're literally just a phone call or a text away. And so staying in contact with the new home sales reps or new home sales counselors, from our point of view, we have the time to do that. So we're lucky we're able to connect with great builders and their sales reps, and just get the information we can from those reps, and then be able to filter it and send it to our clients, the ones that are looking for those particular needs. So it's great to work with sales reps.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Because you want to make sure that, when you're representing a client getting into a new home, right, the sales reps are going to be kind of the experts on their end and be able to
Yes.
provide you with all the information as the agent who's representing the buyer in this case, the information that you need to help them, make the best decision. The same question to you, Andres, but maybe from a different perspective, right? You having been working as an agent and now moving into the role of a sales rep for a builder, what is that relationship like for you from the builder side of working with a real estate agent? How are you guys working together? What are some of the things that you provide to the agents, and what are you expecting from the agent as far as being able to help you guys close the transaction as well?
So as far as from the sales side, as a sales rep, you do service your client, but you're also a resource to the real estate agent. As far as what I mean with the as a resource, like Tony just mentioned, just keeping them updated, keeping them posted. If there's a lower interest rate, can they help out with closing costs? And is there any incentives? Can you get a washer and dryer? Can you get a stainless steel refrigerator? Can you get a garage door opener? Can you get some blinds? Believe it or not, blinds are pretty pricey. And when you move into a home, it's sometimes a headache trying to measure them and just to get them to fit right if you're doing them personally yourself, right? Um, but just given the real estate agent that specific information, and usually that information, so every weekend it's a pretty busy for the sales rep, but come around Monday and Tuesday, that's the there is a change as far as a new promotion. We could gather that information, we could go over our inventory, and then we could share that with our fellow real estate agents, right? Another thing is, let's just say I give Tony some information on Tuesday. Someone calls Tony on from out of town, right? Military family. And this is just a scenario that I am making up in my head, but it does happen, right? Somebody calls Tony and tells them they want a house at a specific price point. They only want to pay a specific monthly payment, and they want to live in a specific area code, right? Or zip code. So if Tony has this information up front, he knows if the specific price point. All right. If the sales rep has that relationship with the agent, he's provided them a couple of options. All right, there's 10 options here. All right, these three are within that price point. We check that box. Now, the price point, right? Well, how do we get to specific payment amounts? Well, interest rates play a big factor here, right? So if you have a 6% interest, your monthly payment is probably going to be a couple of $100 higher. But if we want this price point and this payment, we might have to be in a specific interest rate. If Tony received that information, that we might be able to meet an interest rate that can get them to that monthly payment. If Tony reaches out to the sales rep, he can also do use a payment calculator to give them, all right, Tony, these are the three properties that can benefit your client. Let's go over these. how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what's the square footage? Do we want one or two car garage? I only in my subdivision we only have two car garages, and just being able to narrow it down. So we had an open-ended situation, and we're narrowing it down. So let's just say that client only comes in on Saturday. Now we could pinpoint and target uh, his specific needs and show him those properties that are specifically targeted for his needs.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it makes a lot of sense for somebody to work with an agent, right? As far as being able to get into a new home, you're able to, work with the sales rep, and the sales rep is going to be able to provide the agent with information that they can then relay back to their clients and then help them make a better decision, right? Whether if it's, coming down on, interest rates or different concessions that they can be made, whatever it is, right? It's working together, right? It's almost like the relationship in a way, like a buyer's agent working with a listing agent. It's just a little bit different as far as the actual representation goes. So I think another question that a lot of people might have, or something that you guys can probably talk about, is what are some of the issues or potential problems that you have seen just when you're working with a buyer who is not represented, or some of the potential headaches that might come up if a buyer were to go directly to a sales rep without actually speaking to an agent first. So we'll go with you on this, Andres, and then we'll talk. Tony, you can talk about that as well.
So as far as anything that a builder's always going to try to deliver a home as pristine as possible, and they're going to be as transparent, right? The one benefit that I think that an agent brings is communication, because something could be communicated. I could now I'm going to be a client, guys. I am a client here. All right. They get information. They're really excited. All they know is they're going to deposit some earnest money. They know they're going to get their home. And then um, they might oversee some information and just forget about it, or the excitement just oversaw something. Now,
Mhm.
that information could have been presented to them by the sales rep. And like I said, the builder is going to be as transparent as possible. But as a real estate agent, because I was a real estate agent myself, what I would do is I would look for my client's facial expressions, and if I saw uh like they had a question or they didn't understand something, I would just reiterate to them, "Hey, do we know what Andres is talking about?" And then at that point, I would get clarification. Then when I would leave, I would follow up with them the next day, and I would ask them, "Hey, is there any questions that you have?" Believe it or not, when you're at home or you're on in the car driving back to your home at the moment, wife, husband, uh, dad, son, whoever's in the transaction might have a question. Hey, do you know if this is included? Right? At that point, when Tony follows up the next day, they will be able to communicate that with Tony. Can they communicate that with the sales rep? Yes, they can communicate it. But usually, a real estate agent is really good of understanding their client and being able to fulfill their needs.
Right. So as an agent, right, and we think we've talked a little bit about this in our previous episodes as well. It's the fact that agents have gone through multiple transactions with buyers and with sellers, so they understand what are some of the potential issues or pitfalls that may happen, right? And a lot of times they can see that when a client has a question about certain things, what they actually mean, right, what they're actually looking for can help them resolve that issue. So the same question to you, Tony. As an agent, right, from your perspective, what are some things that you can see as potential pitfalls or maybe just headaches if a buyer were to decide to just go directly to a sales rep or to a builder without talking to an agent?
Well, if a client, if a person that's looking, client's looking for a new home, really, it's a great idea to speak directly to a real estate agent because they will be essentially kind of like their person helping them through that journey. But also, a client could potentially lose, pay more on interest rates because if the if the agent if the real estate agent is aware of rate buy downs and someone else is, one person's offering it and another person isn't, you know, and if the houses are typically, or if the houses are relatively the same, they could be spending $200-300 more on one house versus another. So it's just a great, an agent can really help them understand, for instance, how to builders rep say, hey, for a limited time and until this rate buy down goes, from we did a rate buy down, but it's only good for this dollar amount. So once we sell that dollar amount worth of houses, our rate buy down is going to go away. So just basically keeping in contact with the market and what the builders reps are letting us know about, so that we can then communicate it to our clients. That's essentially what, one of the ways we can help them. But also, yeah, just making sure that they're staying on track for closing. Hey, because we get copied on the emails. We got an email about this. Did you happen to look at it? Well, no, I'm sorry, I was busy night, kids, and we were doing this. But okay, well, let me help you understand what that meant. Okay, let's talk about it. And then so we can go through those things so things don't slip through the crack. It's our business to being in that transaction as far as explaining everything that's happening along the progress, as it progresses, and also, if anything changes and what we can do about those changes and how we can help you answer those types of questions. So we're a great sounding board, so we can talk about issues, or we can talk about things that we can do to help solve the problem. We can potentially stop a problem before it develops, because we'll we'll do a blue tape walkthrough with you as well, and yeah, help you through that whole inspection period and things like that as well. So help you digest kind of some of that information. And a lot of people don't realize this, but real estate agents aren't compensated aren't compensated because our real estate agents are compensated as part of a marketing budget from the builders. They're not the client. Our clients aren't going to be paying more just because they're using an agent to help them through that process. So that's something that a lot of people don't realize as well.
Right. Yeah. So that's a really good point, right? Because as an agent, you know a lot of things within the industry and within real estate transactions of what a builder can provide to the buyers as far as benefits, right, to help them actually get into the home. That just normal consumers out there who are not in the industry, just they might not know about, or maybe they've heard about it, right? Things like a rate buy down, but they have no idea really how it works or how to
Mhm.
even negotiate that. And as an agent, that is essentially your job, right? To help the buyers understand that and to also communicate that to the sales rep to see how they can actually work together to help that client actually get into the home without obviously the builders, not turning a profit or, you know, losing money on the deal as well.
Mhm.
So I think it's we can wrap up here, but I would love to kind of get your thoughts, essentially like final thoughts on if anybody out there were listening to this or watching this that are considering getting into a new home, that are considering shopping around, as we go into the summer months here. What would your advice be to them? Should they start talking to a real estate agent now? Should they start, looking at some certain homes, certain communities first before reaching out to an agent? What would your advice be to them in general, and what are some tips that people might not have thought about, or we might not have talked about here yet today in our podcast? And we'll start with you, Tony, on this one, and then we'll wrap it up with you, Andres.
Yeah. So my advice, if someone's looking to look at homes, a lot of times, first of all, they're going to be, in many cases, clients going to be looking at selling their home. So they're going to want to talk to the agent that they're going to be listing their home with, and if they don't know who they're going to be listing their home with, definitely make sure you're vetting them. You make sure you're talking about marketing plans and what they can do for you as well. And then also, in many cases, that same agent that's going to be working on selling that house for you can help you through that process. It's really important to be really upfront with the builder, saying you do have an agent. In many cases, the builders do want that agent to be present at the first visit. So we want to be present on the first visit, because that way they know that this agent essentially, helped you get to that community, and they're going to be able to help you through that transaction, guide you through it, and things like that. So that would be my advice.
Again, same question to you, Andres. For people watching this who are maybe shopping around here, as we move into really the hot real estate season, what is your advice to them? What would you say if somebody were to be watching this and we're thinking about getting into a new home community, and considering working with an agent to help?
My recommendation would be is that the first time that you have a thought or that you're thinking about purchasing a home, I would reach out to a real estate agent, right? There's a lot of information that you could benefit from a real estate agent. And it's just understanding the tax rate within communities, understanding the product, right, that they're essentially showing you. They can also keep you posted on interest rates. That's something that over the last 12 to 18 months has been a very, very tough time for the real estate market. New home builders have been able to navigate and have been able to kind of maintain business in a steady environment, and have been able to provide people an option to purchase a home with those rate buy downs. So your real estate agent would be knowledgeable of those opportunities, and then they can just educate you on within. They're going to work in your best interest when it comes to you needing a third party inspection. They're going to be able to walk you through the loan process. They're going to also be able to walk you through the closing process. There is some specific dates that go within you purchasing a home. And just even when you get close to closing, right, and you get those closing disclosures, your real estate agent could go over them with you and kind of go over that information, make sure all that information is accurate. And then if there's an issue there, you reach out to your loan officer. On the day of closing, all you do is show up, sign up, and move forward with the purchase of your home. And your real estate agent takes pictures with you, right? That should be an exciting time. There shouldn't be any surprises that, hey, we misspelled the name. Hey, this is what I didn't agree upon. So a real estate agent could really help a client with the purchase of their home, with those different aspects of the purchase.
Right. So you guys heard it here first. If you guys are watching this, if you guys are considering, right, getting into a new home, whether if you are looking to scale up or to scale down a little bit, right, if you want to sell your home and move into a new home, or if this is the first time you're looking to buy a home, make sure to reach out to a real estate agent. And who better than Andres or Tony, right? So we'll make sure to leave in the description down below the information to reach out to them. And other than that, thank you for tuning in. Thank you guys, as always, for sharing your value and your knowledge. And we will see you in the next episode of the Real Estate Roundup. Take care.